And welcome to the spring training edition of And They're Off. Baseball is here, spring is around the corner, exhibition games are about to begin. We'll get to the Fountain of Youth with Steve and a special guest in just a second. Speaking of beginnings though, it's foaling season here in horse country. Before thoroughbreds can thrill us at the racetrack, it's up to a few hardworking people to assist these beautiful horses being born. Thanks to the folks at Winter Quarter Farm here in Kentucky, photographer Ann Keogh and myself were invited to witness a couple of foalings, and Ann shot some video of the first moments and minutes of a horse's life. This is something different, folks. I hope you enjoy it. The mare giving birth here is Bright Feather, who's the dam of multiple Grade 1 winner and $3 million earner Albert the Great, as well as several other stakes winners. The foal you see entering the world is a colt by Cowboy Cal. He arrived just after 1 a.m. on February 7th. As you can see here, Bright Feather is an old hand at this. She's very attentive to the baby. When you have a large foal like this one, which this one was certainly larger than normal, it can take up to several hours for him to get his legs under him until he finally stands up. And it can take several more hours before he starts to nurse and finds his way around. When all goes smoothly, these are really wonderful and dramatic moments. It's a very different aspect to the horse racing game, and hopefully seeing it gives you viewers an appreciation for these incredible animals. The photo at the end here was taken about 12 hours after birth. Mom and son turned out in a paddock for the very first time, and you can see that he already looks like a horse. Steve Haskin, you've seen foalings. They're unforgettable, eh?
First off, I would like to say, is there anybody out there that provides more diversity than And They're Off? I mean, where do you get to see stuff like this? Only on And They're Off, folks. Just remember that. And as far as the foaling, yes, I totally agree with you. I was fortunate enough to be at Darby Dan Farm many years ago, and I was actually staying at the farm, and I did see a birth, and it was an unforgettable sight. It was actually the dam, her name was Luana. She was the dam of Little Current, who won the Preakness and the Belmont for Darby Dan, and she gave birth to a beautiful stage door Johnny filly, and it's something most people don't get a chance to see, but it is quite unforgettable. But just speaking of beautiful fillies, I have to take this time right now to wish a very happy birthday to my New Jersey production unit. Today is my beautiful wife Joan's birthday, and I've decided that I'm just going to go by what a person looks like these days and not their actual age. So, Joan, happy 35th birthday.
I was going to go for 28, Steve. All right. You know.
I can't make it too. I can't make it go too far overboard.
And while we're talking about foalings and beautiful fillies, our thoughts with Rachel Alexandra for a speedy recovery to her. It just goes to show you this is not an easy process and not to be taken for granted. This new life that these mares provide. For all of our enjoyment. To read more about foaling, check out the March 2nd edition of the Blood Horse. I'll have an article on being witness to some of these, kind of a play-by-play for you. And Ann has more photos and video that'll be up on bloodhorse.com that week. So really amazing stuff. Okay. Steve, all it took for Gary Stevens to get hot in his comeback was to join us on And They're Off, where good luck for everybody. In the past week plus, he's won the San Marcos with Slim Shady, the Wishing Well with Purim's Dancer, the Santa Maria aboard Great Hot. He's getting stakes mounts out of town now. He's got a live 3-year-old, and 'tis the truth, that he hopes will get him to Louisville without a microphone in his hand. Meanwhile, Mike Smith, who most people thought was cooked 15 years ago after several horrific spills and injuries, he's become the go-to rider for everybody. Kentucky Derby, sure, win it with Giacomo. Problem with Game On Dude, get Mike Smith. Royal Delta not doing enough, get Mike Smith. Zenyatta, Mike Smith. Steve, are these old guys getting better with, well, let's call it experience?
Well, I mean, it sure does seem that way. Look, I mean, you know, jockeys are professional. You got jockeys riding at the age of 60 and 70. You know, if you maintain your physical shape and your mental shape, there's no telling what these guys can do. I mean, everybody gave Mike up for dead a long time ago, you know, after his back surgery, and like you said, he's right now one of the go-to riders. And Gary, I mean, after being off for so many years, I guess he started getting the feeling after he won on Seabiscuit several years ago. You know? But I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, not only is he on 'Tis the Truth, who I think is a legitimate Derby horse, but he rides this Saturday in the Risen Star on a very promising young colt named Proud Strike for Steve Asmussen, and who knows how good he's going to turn out to be. Of course, he's got a tremendous pedigree. And watching Gary ride now, it's like nothing has changed. It's like it was 10 years ago, and he's riding Silver Charm and all the big Baffert horses and all the Derby horses and Lucas horses, and he's just riding out of his mind right now. So it's an absolutely amazing comeback. I give him all the credit for doing it and for coming back so successfully.
Yeah, you got Russell Bays still doing it, and you know, it wasn't for lack of anything that caused Lafitte Pincay and Eddie De La Houssaye to quit. You know, it was injuries. It wasn't
Sure.
that they couldn't ride it. You know, didn't know how to ride anymore. So it was very interesting. Like everything else, you know, baseball players, these guys are doing it longer. So good luck to Mike and Gary going forward. All right, we're joined on the phone now by bloodstock agent and racing manager Nick Salusto from Florida. Nick, welcome to And They're Off.
All right, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right,
Hey,
Nick bought Violence, the horse, not the concept, as a yearling for $600,000 for BlackRock Thoroughbreds. Violence is now an undefeated multiple graded stakes winner who's almost made his sale price back. Nick also just bought Falling Sky in January. That horse did nothing but turn around and win the Sam F. Davis. And the two of them are likely to be the two favorites for the Fasig-Tipton Bezalou Stables Ponce de Leon Fountain of Youth Stakes. Hey, Nick, maybe they should shorten that name to just the Salusto Stakes. What do you think?
Well, I'm certainly glad to be participating on this level with both of these colts, but I think we're going to leave the sponsorship to Mr. Leone.
All right. Nick, I know you don't spend that kind of money lightly. Tell us what you liked about these two horses.
Well, you know, I think in terms of Violence, I think we'll take them in that order. You know, Mr. Marshall owns BlackRock, was very, very specific about the type of horse that he had asked Huntley, Albina and I, to go and buy him. And, you know, basically he was looking for young colts that checked all the boxes for potential stallions later down the line. And, you know, he was a standout physically and pedigree-wise in September, and we were just fortunate enough to have the pockets to outgun everybody else for him. Falling Sky, you know, I bought for a group of Newtown and the Stud, Jim Cavello and Joe Bolger. This is Newtown and the Stud's first private purchase. Jim Cavello, as you know, is kind of made the private purchase game his mainstay, and he's enjoyed a lot of success with it. So, you know, Jim and I worked together looking at a lot of these prospects. I thought his allowance race, going 6.5 furlongs at Gulfstream, was extremely impressive. He kind of caught my attention. He picked my head up. He started to give me an inkling that he maybe could stretch out. I was very, very impressed with him physically. Just a really, really handsome horse. All the right parts in all the right places. And got on the phone with my guys. We actually tried to strike a private deal prior to the sale. That didn't work out. And we went and got him.
Yeah. Steve?
Nick, let's get down to the tough questions here. Who you rooting for?
I actually,
listen. If you're gonna be a big bloodstock agent and racing manager, you're gonna have horses in the same race. You got to start committing to one or the other.
Well, look, you know how tough it is, Steve. You load them in the gate. You're thinking certain ways, and sometimes they make liars out of us. But I think that both of these colts are in different places in their careers right now. They land in the same race, but Violence is, I think, a more mature horse that is kind of put it all together, and I think he's just kind of we're trying to put him through the last paces here to try and get to the big dance. Whereas Falling Sky, we feel is still a very young horse in many ways that really needs to gain more experience racing. And, coming back on 3 weeks and giving him an opportunity to maybe get some more racing as we all try and wind up in the same place is really what's been on our mind with him. So, I would definitely, I've talked with both groups. I mean, we think that Violence is super, super prime and, ready to take the next step. And we're looking to have a run from Falling Sky that would maybe, move him on and bring him on to the next level. And we think racing is the best way to do that.
Very diplomatic answer. I knew you'd come up with a good one.
Hey, Nick, was there any violence from either owner when you told them that they were running against each other?
Not yet, but we still have some time.
I wouldn't want to be standing next to you. Go ahead, Steve.
So Nick, was there any particular decision as far as why running Falling Sky back in 3 weeks as opposed to waiting to the Tampa Bay Derby, other than the fact that Verrazano happens to be going to the Tampa Bay Derby?
Well, obviously, we take into all of those factors into consideration. I think naturally when we won the Sam Davis, it was, very logical to think about coming back, in the same exact race over the track, have the experience. And then, the Fountain of Youth kind of, we kind of started to consider the Fountain of Youth and the 3 weeks back. And obviously, the fastest horse in the country is a roadblock, potential roadblock there, and Violence was a roadblock here. So, I think that either way we knew we'd be running into a top-notch 3-year-old. But we like the short ship close to home, and I really do want to see this horse come back and get some more racing into him. And also, like you keyed into the article that I read last evening, it does set us up very nicely to have a vast array of choices for the next round.
Well, if you saw the column I wrote today, Mike, I wrote quite extensively about his pedigree, and I don't have to tell you, but he's bred to run all day on the bottom. I mean, his pedigree is awesome.
And that's the way we felt. Although I would say most people would think of Lionheart not necessarily as a true route stallion. He certainly had plenty of his share of horses, go a mile and eighth and further. And I think you definitely keyed into the Hail to Reason, them being inbred to Hail to Reason, and he reminds me a lot of a horse that we bought named Cantharos, who interestingly enough is out of a Southern Halo mare, by Halo, Hail to Reason. So it didn't really occur to me until I read your article last night that these two really struck me physically in a very, very similar manner. I mean, after I went down and looked at Falling Sky, I actually called up Hunsley Albiner and said, this horse reminds me so much of Cantharos physically. And I hadn't actually put as much thought into it as you did. And when I read the article, I was like, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, would you stop kissing his butt already? It's making
Where's
me
my
sick.
where's my commission?
Yeah,
hey, listen.
it's in the
When was
mail.
the last time you saw? When was the last time you saw Hail Teresian 4 times in a horse's pedigree?
Yesterday.
Lenny will answer that one. Lenny, when was the last time we saw that?
I did. It was
I'm
yesterday.
gonna leave that to you guys.
All right, very good. Nick, obviously a very talented Bloodstack agent. He's becoming a very talented racing manager, and I know that he's important because I've actually seen Todd Pletcher talk to him one-on-one. That's a true story, by the way. It actually happened, believe it or not. Nick,
I paid him to do that.
yeah, I know. Nick, good luck on Saturday in the Fountain of Youth, and hopefully we'll see you down there, Florida Derby time.
Good luck,
Thanks,
Nick.
guys. We'll look forward to it. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Stable Boy's being bashful this week. Doesn't want to speak to anybody, so we want to thank our viewers. We want to thank Nick Salusto for being with us. We want to thank our great sponsor, Darby Dan Farm. And we will be back with you in 2 weeks. That will be in March already, March 6th, with our next And They're Off. Steve, we will see you then.
Yes, everybody enjoy the Fountain of Youth and the Risen Star. Both great races.
All right.
See you, everyone.
Happy birthday, John.